I remember my first time I got a business credit approval. It was a few years ago, and at the time I wanted to start my own business, and I wasn't making a lot of money at my full-time job, but I wanted to work for myself, and I knew that I had to get some funding for my company, mostly for two things. One, so that I could actually have the money to launch my business and to get customers. But two, I wanted to have like a cushion to fall back on so that if things didn't go well, I knew I had some backup money, if you will. And I remember doing all the prep work. So I remember building up my business credit score. I remember going through like there's the checklist of like, okay, I got to do this step, then I got to do this step, and like every day just spending a couple hours on it, making sure I got everything ready, checking things off. And I also had to get my personal credit ready too, because the first business credit that I ever got was a business credit card, and business credit cards, they require personal guarantees. So I had to take the steps to get my personal credit ready, and my personal credit was okay. But the thing was, I had used a lot of personal credit to kind of get to that stage of my business, so my personal credit scores weren't that great because my utilization was high. That means that I used a lot of my personal credit in the beginning to start my business. So now my scores are kind of like okay, and now I'm worried, like, am I going to be able to get business credit? Because ironically, scores are lower because I'm trying to launch the business, because I've been using personal credit cards to kind of get things going. And I ended up finding a good friend of the family who acted as a credit partner, and that helped me a lot. And we looked at their credit report and made sure that things looked good there. And then I remember researching the banks. So I remember going online and going through different lists of lenders and seeing like what programs are out there, what are people getting approvals for, and how much like that they're getting approved for. And then after doing the research and things like that, seeing like, all right, this card has this much of a limit, this card goes up to this much, etc. I ended up applying. I actually applied online, and the first company I applied with was First National Bank of Omaha. And I just looked them up, actually. They're still in business, and they still offer business credit cards. I don't think they're lending nationally anymore. It looks like they're kind of like focused in their area. And I don't know too much about how their programs work, but I can see that they offer business credit cards for up to $100,000, which is pretty cool. So I got the approval. And, I was waiting, and then I got the approval. And I just remember I got it in the mail. It wasn't like an immediate internet approval. And I remember when I got the approval, I was like, oh man, this is... Like, I just felt so much safer. I felt like, okay, now I've got some money for marketing. I got 18 grand. That's the amount that I got. And now I got some money kind of like as a cash cushion to fall back on. Like, because I was kind of worried, like, if I start my own business, I leave my job, am I going to have some money to support things, God forbid things don't go that great. I really wanted that peace of mind. So now I felt like euphoric, like excited and happy that I got this approval. And then I also felt like safer that I got this business credit card. I felt like things were finally going to be okay. And what I did is I ended up repeating the process, not just with one bank, but I tried other banks too. And I got other business credit cards and eventually lines of credit and things like that. But it was just such a great feeling, and it wasn't necessarily easy. So I did get some declines. There were some times I had to talk with the bank and try to work things out and stuff like that. But doing the hard work pays off, and I remember thinking, am I qualified? Do I deserve this? Like, do I deserve 100 grand in business credit? Are banks really going to get me approvals? And I know what that feels like. And those are false beliefs. In your mind, if you're thinking that you don't deserve it or you're not qualified, you deserve funding too. Lots of banks out there that want to lend, they need to lend to stay in business. They're just looking for good business owners and good entrepreneurs like yourself.